It's your Geordie Journos. We're here in our usual hot seat. We've been here for the last...
Well, we're going to have to make a habit of it because we've been here now twice in a row. Win on Saturday, another win tonight, even though we've chose to do it here.
Yeah, if we win on Saturday, I'll have to sit with Kieran McInnes. See to keep the run going. But anyway, get the waffle out of the way first.
Well, I apparently look like him.
Yeah, you do. Get on with that.
Honestly, I saw it was on social media. Someone said I look like... Yeah. Whatever.
Because you both got excellent there. But anyway,
thank you.
Waffle out of the way. Reflect on the game. Newcastle United 3-1 against Brentford into the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup for the second time in 3 seasons. It was pretty comfortable, that
standard.
one. Routine.
I mean, if Leicester was standard on a Saturday, standard Premier League win, this was easy work of getting through to a Carabao Cup semi-final. Newcastle, before Eddie Howe, before the takeover, had reached 2 semi-finals in 23 years. 2 semi-finals in the space of 2 years. What was all the fuss all about? And I think it's a really good feeling to get used to. Although you need to be winning trophies, as we spoke about in our previous video, getting to these latter stages of competitions is a good habit to get into if you eventually want to break that duck and end that trophy drought. Because last time the Cup run was very much momentum, it was excitement. The Leicester game, Eddie Howe said in his post-match press conference tonight, felt like the semi-final. The atmosphere was brilliant. There was electricity. It was like, oh, we're getting through to the last 4. We're going to Wembley. Brilliant. Tonight it was just like, no, this is the norm. We're here. We've turned up. We've done our job. Bring on whoever they end up facing, which will be a tough challenge, and I'm sure we'll get on to that. Newcastle, I'm sure the last time they were in the Carabao Cup semi-final were the highest ranked team left in the competition when they actually progressed, because they were above Manchester United at the time. Obviously by the time they played them they were below them, but this time they'll more than likely be the lowest or second lowest ranked team in the competition.
Yeah, it looks so promising at one point as well, because they were looking at scores at half time or during the game, whatever, and I think Crystal Palace were winning Arsenal, and then Liverpool were being held for about 40 minutes, I think it was, until they opened the scoring. So
there was some fake news before Eddie Howe came out, actually. I mean, someone went, Southampton have equalised. Oh, it's gone to penalties. Oh, Liverpool. Don't know how that happened in the space of about 5 seconds, but just goes to show. It was quickly shut down though, thankfully. You just went, that's nonsense.
Yeah, it's not true.
So I'm glad I was sat next to you. But Newcastle tonight. One player who we possibly get, people pick out that we sometimes overlooked, who was brilliant on Saturday, was even better tonight, and I think we need to really show this man some respect that he deserves, because Sandro Tonali tonight, in a game that lacked quality at key times, I thought, even though it was really comfortable for Newcastle. The reason it was comfortable, 2 incredible finishes from Sandro Tonali in the first half to put Newcastle in control. Yeah,
it really was, especially the second one when he came flying in from a corner and volleyed it in.
Sholami OBV Sunderland-esque.
Didn't quite have the same power on it, but indeed in the same place to go. But I get the sentiment. It was an incredible strike, as was the first one.
Really, the first one was really good.
He's caught it really cleanly. The keeper's, I think, was sort of unsighted, but again to catch the shot and generate that power towards goal, an excellent goal. And then the second one was the real standout for me. But I think in recent weeks, I would say he's probably quietly gone about his business. He's brought a real balance to the midfield, and that number 6 freed up Bruno a little bit more.
Got another assist for Bruno tonight.
Yeah, but tonight was where Sandro came to the fore with the 2 goals, and that's a reward for, as I say, because he was getting plaudits but didn't necessarily have, as I say, the goals to back it up. Now we're leaving St James's Park tonight. Fans are singing his name outside. That was potentially the night where Sandro Tonali was reborn, if you want to say that.
Yeah.
Of course, as I say, I think he's been good in recent weeks, but to have
number
those
6
2 goals,
really, that role has really sort of galvanised him after what must have been a very frustrating spell, after you're out for so long and you're getting kept out by Sean Longstaff, Joe Willock, and it's never quite getting a run of games. even at Brentford a couple of weeks ago, he was out of the team, but fatigue was the reason why for that. But now, the last 3 times he's played in that number 6 role and started the game, I think he's been one of, if not the best player on the pitch. And I think that's a really encouraging thing, where people would argue he's always looked like that £55 million signing, but when you're paying that sort of money, you want grab games by the scruff of the neck, like he did against Aston Villa, and you want maybe a little bit more than just being really tidy and really technically proficient. Tonight, we saw that. But Eddie Howe did say that goals from Sandro Tonali, assists from Sandro Tonali when he is playing that number 6 role are just a very good bonus. It's not something that he would expect him to deliver on a regular basis. But hey, Sandro Tonali, I mean, I think the past month has probably been Newcastle's best player and has really shown his class. And people will say he is Newcastle's best player, and I think that's still up for debate. Although everyone's entitled to their opinion, but Sandro Tonali technically and now in an attacking sense, it was a masterclass from him tonight. And I thought, yeah, if Newcastle into the semi-final, Sandro Tonali's the reason why.
Yeah, can't argue with that. I think it's a run that you mentioned there probably started at Crystal Palace when it was a really disappointing or poor afternoon for Newcastle down at Crystal Palace, and he was the standout that day. You then come into Liverpool, which I thought he was excellent against Liverpool. Obviously dropped out the team against Brentford, but then has came back in the last 2 games. And yeah, I mean, that midfielder's functions brilliant with him. And look, maybe we shouldn't expect goals from him every week, but I just say being in that number 6 role, he just brings that balance. And I think you look at the 3 midfielders, which sadly now will be split up again at the weekend with Joelinton Band actually took a really nasty looking cut to his ear. It looked like he's.
I think if VAR was involved tonight, which it wasn't, but if it was, we could have seen some Nathan Collins repercussions.
Joelinton was
I thought it was naughty. It was an elbow, and then it was. I described it in my Shields Gazette video as a stamp on the head, but it wasn't quite. He went up for a header and then caught him, and that's where I think the injury came from. And then he had to come off at half time. So yeah, he'll miss the Ipswich game anyway due to suspension. But something that I guess people didn't necessarily know, and people literally disputed with you and me on social media when we possibly jinxed it ahead of the game, saying, if Bruno and Fabian Schär get booked, they'll miss the first leg of the semi-final. Lo and behold, they get booked.
Yeah, and a shout out to Martin, formerly of Loaded Mag, who predicted that those 2 would pick up bookings immediately when I put out that tweet. It was, they will get booked, and yeah, as you say, lo and behold, that happened. It's it's a shame. EFL Cup, I mean, I think it's a bit daft.
2 bookings.
I think it's really
3-4 games you're playing. If you say you progressed all the way from the first round, it's silly.
Yeah, I think it's really silly. I mean, you think in the Premier League when it's 5 bookings and you open 19 games, now you've got to avoid 2
much higher
in
percentage
4 games, essentially what it is. When Premier League teams enter the second round. So yeah, I mean, they'll have to find a way to deal without them. I think Emil Kraft, House, Eddie said, might be back, which
Sven Botman
will be back. So
that's good.
Yeah, so I suppose as plugging you can plug the gaps. I mean, they've got enough midfield options, but you lose 2 of your key players in that sense, so, which isn't ideal when you're going up against the potentially Manchester United, Tottenham, Arsenal, and Liverpool. So a daft rule, but they've got to deal with it.
Yes, and so before we get right into the sort of nitty-gritty of what we thought, you may notice there's just 2 of us tonight. So naturally, Liam was at the game, taking in the win from the stands. Was he level 7? Yes, he was level 7 because he gave us a wave there with his son tonight. Thankfully,
you've got a video.
Yes, a much happier game than West Ham the last time he was in the stands. Yeah. So yeah, we'll cut to his thoughts because he was keen to give his thoughts. We don't know what he said. It could be great. It could be waffle. Take it away, Liam.
Right, Liam Kennedy of the Geordie Journal. It's not my usual spot alongside Dom and Jordan, but I did send them a little video tonight just on my thoughts on the game. I also said, I was in the Freeman Hospital earlier, and I seen Barry, and I said I'd give him a shout out on the video, so I had to do that. I am here tonight with YouTube stars of the future potentially, but my two kids. Yeah, they are. Give the Geordie Journals fans a wave. That's Freya and William, who enjoyed it this time. I told you there was a couple of tears last time to West Ham on William's birthday, but it was much better this time. Look, that first 45 really was the Sandro Tonali show. If anybody anywhere was in any doubt that that lad is oozing full of class, he was outstanding today. I mean, again, we've seen Leicester at the weekend. That was one of the most one-sided games you'll see for the first 70 minutes. This one was as well. I think after half-time, I thought Anthony Gordon really came into his own. His desire and his passion and his chasing and his hassling and his quality. He was so unlucky not to score, when Newcastle were unlucky not to add more to their game as well. It was comfortable, it was easy, but they did the job. They've had a week where, you know, things could have gone very differently, but they've gone and taken 3 points against Leicester, scored 4, and they've went and scored 3 against Brentford here and look relatively comfortable doing it. So now progression into the last 4. I think tell anybody here who's in this crowd tonight that they'll not mind who they play. I mean, they'll certainly be able to choose some teams that they'd rather than others, but look, getting through was the main thing, and putting yourself in the hat for the last 4. You're still in the competition, and this club needs a trophy, so they're in the mix, and that's all you can ask for. But the big task, as I'm sure the lads will come on to now, is really maintaining this and going away to Ipswich at the weekend and making sure it's not the Luton of last year, and making sure they put in a performance. If they do anything close to what they've done in the last 2, then it'll be another comfortable 3 points, and things will look a whole lot different for the next time. Then Newcastle are here against Aston Villa, which is always a decent game. Right, so that's good night from Liam of the Geordie Journals. Good night from these two too, as well. Good night.
So yeah, that was Liam. Some good points from him, I'm sure.
always.
Yeah, but yeah, tonight, what we saw from Newcastle and what it means going forward. Like now, Newcastle go into 2025. I described this game beforehand as the biggest game of the season. I know some people go, no, the Premier League is what Newcastle need to be focusing on. That's how you become a top team. Regular finishes in the Premier League. Top teams win cups, and Newcastle, I mean, have a chance. 1 in 4.
Yeah.
Albeit against 4 or 3 other teams that they'll probably be underdogs against if they went up against them. But when you look at the draw, have you got any preference? Because you put that to Eddie Howe, and let's say he either doesn't have a preference or wasn't willing to give his preference.
Yeah, I said, with anyone, do you bring it on? Brought a smirk from Eddie Howe, and he said, we'll wait and see for the draw. So that was a snub, to say the least. Wasn't interested. That's not a question.
It's just like, no, well, to be honest, the general tone of the press conference in a lot of ways was job done on Ipswich, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which is, I think, Eddie Howe's mindset, because he goes, look, we've got some big games. We've got Ipswich, Aston Villa, Manchester United and Spurs, 2 teams who Newcastle could potentially face.
And the mighty Bromley as well. That's what I get them.
Classy. I'm a Bromley fan, apparently.
Right.
I told you, didn't I?
I
got tickets to... Because I've been to Bromley before. This is pure waffle, by the way. I've been to Bromley before. To get on the Wi-Fi, you have to sign in and register and become a fan. So I got an email saying, do you want tickets for the away end?
Yeah, of course.
So if anyone wants tickets in the Bromley away end, get in touch and I'll try and sort you out. I can't promise anything though. So yeah, I'm apparently a Bromley fan.
Oh, fair enough.
Up the
Bromley.
Ravens.
Hey, you are a proper fan, you.
I'm a proper
fan.
fan.
Knowing the nickname and stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of games before the semi-final comes around. I think is it the second last week in January and then the first week in February.
So it's now Newcastle have something to really, like I said, put the hat on for the next couple of months. Really,
I think it keeps the season alive. Maybe not, but you get what I mean. Where it gives you something.
It's a momentum builder as well, and
to.
it gives you go right as long as that's to look forward to. That's potentially something. It will be make or break the 2 like semi-final, obviously. But hey, while you're in it, you've got a chance.
I do think the only way that the shine of the draw takes off a little bit if they were to get Liverpool over 2 legs. That I think that's the one where you just don't want, because Newcastle never get results at Anfield, and they never get they get a couple of draws here, but they haven't beaten Liverpool in 10 years, it seems.
Yeah, the 3-3 a couple of weeks ago was seen as a great
That was
result.
yeah.
It was a great performance. It was a very good result. But that bucked a trend of losses since 2015, December 2015, the last time Newcastle won. So, yeah, tough.
I think with like your Arsenal's, again, they don't get results at the Emirates, but maybe take a little bit of inspiration from Crystal Palace tonight when they almost got a result against Arsenal.
Well, the fact Newcastle have beat Arsenal this season, they beat Arsenal last season. Yeah. Okay, they lost the season before, beat them the season before that. Actually, Newcastle here at St James's Park can give Arsenal a game. It's down at the Emirates, which has been problematic. We need Andy Carroll.
Yeah, you do. That was last time they won, wasn't it? No, if I had to pick, I would pick Man United over 2 legs. That would be mine. Because I think, again, I'm naming grounds Newcastle don't get results. I don't really get results at Old Trafford.
That's either, Manchester United if they get through, because they're playing their way at Spurs tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fine. Anyway, but yeah, we're discussing the options there because they're really, it's a tough semi-final.
You want,
really tough
I'd say
semi-final.
you want the winner from the Thursday night game.
Yeah,
that's who you want in the semi, and then because 2 legs, there's so much margin for error. Whereas in a one-off game against a team who, like Arsenal or Liverpool, who you may not get results against very often, but it is only 90 minutes or 120 minutes potentially, so maybe got a better chance. I think, yeah, I'm not expecting Newcastle to go and lift the trophy, but hey, I'll remain optimistic, remain hopeful while they're in it.
Just gives them something to look forward to, doesn't it? You never know. I mean, shall we tip the hat to Mark Cannon for his 1976 start? Oh,
yeah. Well, I was going to bring it off the top of my head, but yeah, it wasn't off the top of my head. It was Mark Cannon, who always gives us a bit of a briefing before Geordie Journo's videos here at St James's Park anyway. And yeah, replay of the 1976 semi-final, which Newcastle beat Tottenham Hotspur.
There you go.
Great. And then they got beaten in the final by Man City, but oh well.
Well, there's no Man City this year, so yeah. One hand on the Carabao Cup based on 1976.
Yes, you're right.
Of course, I'm joking. No, it was. I mean, you touched upon it earlier, but it just really was like a comfortable evening and you'd compare to the Leicester game, and I repeat what you said. Really, there was a lot of emotion that night. Dan Burn scoring. I say a real excitement. Whereas tonight they turned up and it just felt like they had a job to do, and that's what winning teams do. And teams who get in the habit of winning things turn up and just do it. Manchester United done it really,
without breaking a sweat.
Yeah,
and I think that probably impacted the fans as well tonight. I'm not saying in a bad way. It was job done for the fans as well.
Yeah.
Which is good. It was a good atmosphere tonight. It wasn't rocking St James's Park.
Started well, but naturally
because it was we turn up, we win tonight, we get to the semi-final, and then that's when it'll be the big game.
That's what Manchester United fans are criticised for when Newcastle went down there a couple of years ago. Obviously Trafalgar Square build up. We're walking along Wembley Way about 5 hours before kick-off, and it's full of black and white shirts, whereas you couldn't see a Manchester United fan in sight, because they just turn up there and win finals. And that's Newcastle haven't won a final, of course, but it felt a bit like that today, where it was, we've got a job to do and we're going to turn up and we're going to do it, and ignore the noise if you like. But I think the semi-final will feel like a proper semi-final,
as long as they're still in the tie when they play at St James's
that's what you want.
Either whether they play here first, then it will be a good atmosphere, great atmosphere. As long as they still have something to play for when they're playing at St James's Park in the semi-final.
Yeah, you want St James's Park the second leg, don't you?
Yeah, which I put to Eddie Howe again. He was, well, it worked for us last time. That was his response.
Yeah.
So another good thing that's been good to see is goals were really quite scarce at St James's Park until recently.
Yeah.
And now it's 10 goals the last 3 games at St James's Park. That confidence, that momentum that builds from that, Eddie Howe did recognise after the game and asked Eddie Howe, have you turned a corner? And he didn't go that far. He said, you can't really say it's a corner turned on such a small sample size, but scoring goals, never a bad thing. And I think Newcastle's attack, particularly, although Alexander Isak actually had a very quiet game tonight by his standards, Anthony Gordon, and even the balance brought by Jacob Murphy in some ways, and then you've got Lewis Hall, Tino Livramento on the overlap. Bruno's getting more involved now in the number 8 role. The attack, the last few weeks, since Palace really, if we're being honest, because at Brentford they generally attacked well in the first half. So, yeah, since that Palace game, I think Newcastle's attack has had that kick up the backside that it definitely needed.
Yeah, they did. I remember I was after the Crystal Palace game, and I think Newcastle had scored 14 goals in 15 Premier League games or something like that, when previously last year they scored 80 odd goals.
85 goals in the Premier League. Scored over 100 throughout the season.
But to be fair, Eddie Howe at that time said it's about momentum and confidence, and they have found that goal scoring touch, and I think probably certain moves in the team have helped that. I think Bruno being pushed higher up's definitely helped that. Anthony Gordon seems to have came alive again when moving over the left hand side. I think that's one thing I think Eddie Howe got right today, was the unchanged team, and bringing Jacob Murphy, or keeping Jacob Murphy down that right hand side deservedly so, because he's, for as much as his performance outside of scoring goals and assists might not be the greatest, and that sounds really silly, but you judge an attacker on his stats essentially, and that's what he's done. He brought 2 goals a weekend and 2 assists at Brentford. So that, and then that having him down the right hand side allows Gordon to play his best football on the left hand side. And I think you've probably seen a player that wants to make a point on the left hand side, because I think he's being moved pillar to post, right hand side to left hand side during the start of the season. His best position's a left forward, and he's been moved back there, and he's shown why exactly he should stay as a left forward. So I think little moves like that has paid dividends, and yeah, they look like the free scoring team that they were last season. Yeah. So fingers crossed it can continue. And then the defensive side as well, I think they've been really good at disappointing the conceded late on tonight. I know it's about the opposition as well. Brentford, of course, haven't got a great away record. Leicester will definitely be in a relegation battle, but you can only judge it for how you see it, and I think they've been really tight at the back. Dan Burn in particular, I think, has been pretty faultless, to be honest, in the last 2 games. I think everything you want that from that defensive command and defence deals with pretty much everything there. That's Dan Burn, so I think he deserves a lot of credit for the way they've defended. And I think Lewis Hall again, just a quality footballer, just good in both boxes, good at both ends. Just
steady away tonight, solid.
He's missed that consistent. Lewis Hall. Eddie Howe said that in the press conference, asked about Lewis Hall. So where a season when Newcastle have been inconsistent, Lewis Hall has been missed. Well, has been consistent, not Mr. Consistent. I use that term, but he has. So positive signs in the last 2 games. But of course, Ipswich, they've got to go there and they've got to do that again. Can they go and banish the away? I mean, they've done all right on the road this season. I mean, they've got two wins on the road, Wolves and Forest. The 2 away wins. I think another ones I haven't really played particularly well. So it always feels like when Newcastle slip away from home, but hopefully they can, because they've got another point to prove on Saturday, in my opinion. I think you're playing Brentford and Leicester at home, and you expect to win. You've got to go out and do it, but you expect to do that.
The pressure games Newcastle can deliver against your so-called Big Six. Leicester at the weekend, because of the feeling around the club and the way previous results had maybe gone, that was a must-win game, or it had a must-win feel to it. Tonight being a cup game had a must-win feel to it, or was a must-win game. And Newcastle have won them both. They've got up for the big games, and it's Ipswich, no disrespect to them, they'll probably admit themselves, it's not the one that Newcastle, well, it might stand out because they're newly promoted side, but you're not going, ooh, Ipswich way just before Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Luton last year, that just before
it's
Christmas.
The exact same feel.
I mean, I don't know if you agree with me, but it feels like it could be a banana skin, and they've got to make sure it
absolutely
isn't.
Ipswich haven't won at home this season, but they got a great result at Molineux last weekend, so no Liam Delap though.
I think that, I was going to say, I think that's massive. I think not having Liam Delap, I think is a huge blow for them, because I've watched him a lot this season. There's a lot of Newcastle fans who've come to saying they should have signed him instead of Will Asula. Of course, it's very different, because I think, going a little bit off topic here, but if you want to sign Liam Delap, you'd have almost had to negotiate a deal with Manchester City where they could buy him back. And are Manchester City really going to do that with a team that is
a closer rival?
Yeah, they're not going to do that. So I think signing Liam Delap at the fee Ipswich did, under the terms Ipswich did, I think would have been very, very hard to do and very, very unlikely. But going back on top, like, he's been excellent every time I've watched him this season. Really strong,
proper
powerful.
Handful,
he's a proper handful. So not having him, I think, it could do Newcastle a massive favour. I think it gives them a massive boost. I think, not having him.
Yeah, because they don't have a glut of options up front, Ipswich. But what I want to know, when's a Newcastle player going to score a hat trick? Speaking of goals. It's 36 braces without a hat-trick since Jose Perez. I spent
15
minutes. I spent about 15 minutes looking at every brace that every player has scored since Jose Perez in 2019 scored a hat-trick against Southampton. And I thought, Sandro Tonali could do it tonight. He had a chance.
He did. There's a couple of blocks.
Was
a couple
blocked.
of block shots.
Yeah, there's been a lot. Isak scored 8 braces. Wilson's got 11. Almiron, Bruno, Joe Linton, 3. Florian Lejeune.
Yeah, Everton, of course.
Fabian Schär. These people have braces. Come on, lads. On a hat-trick.
We need a hat-trick.
I'm getting greedy now. But yeah. One thing, again, the last time Brentford came to St James's Park? Liam had a go at Thomas Frank.
Yes.
And I think it was right, because Thomas Frank did have a go at the ball boys. And Liam said he was petty, he was childish. Yeah. Thomas Frank, classy man in his press conference tonight. Although Eddie Howe, again, wasn't having any of it. He went, my focus is on Ipswich.
Yeah, so pretty much Thomas Frank came in and got asked if he thought Newcastle would win the Carabao Cup, and he said, yes, I think so. And then said, I hope they win it. I hope that it changes from the big six, and he named the teams obviously left in. So he's rooting for Newcastle. So for me, that is a classy message, and I think Liam should apologise to Thomas Frank, because he didn't. I just thought it was really, really classy. Even before the game, when he's talking about St James's Park is one of the greatest stadiums in the country.
He always does, Thomas Frank. Praises St James's Park.
I do wonder if he's seen all these nice things, because he might fancy the job one day. But I really like him. I think he can get petty. He did. I think I agree with Liam. He probably did last year.
No, I thought Liam was right in what he said, but also we recognise class when we hear it as well.
He's had another little jibes about Isak when they won down there 2-1, and the £63 million striker. So he's had his
ignoring the fact they had Ivan Toney at the time, who was worth not miles away from that figure.
No. So yeah, classy thing to say by him. So I'm a big fan of Thomas Frank. He's done an excellent job at Brentford. I think he's due a top job somewhere. Maybe the ship sort of sailed a little bit, because there's been a lot of, like, Manchester United have came up recently and he hasn't had a shoe in with it, or he hasn't been included in the shortlist, whatever. But I think he's capable of managing higher than Brentford, and what he's done for that football club has been absolutely brilliant.
Well done, Thomas.
Well done.
Well done, Eddie, as well. Another semi-final.
Yeah, no, it's a big praise to him, because it's. I mean, you named the start at the start. Was it?
Newcastle reached the semi-final in the FA Cup in 2005 under Graham Souness, and then semi-final that we talked about the other day, or yesterday actually it was. Yeah. Rob Lee in 2000 as well. Obviously they reached a couple of finals a couple of years before that as well. But yeah, it's been a long time just without to wait for semi-finals really. Those years under, like, Allardyce, Pardew, McLaren. I mean,
Rafa to some extent, but his priority was on the
Bruce
on the wanted to make it a priority, but couldn't really ball. Well, got a quarter final in FA Cup. Actually, I see that. He did. Rafa as well. It was
couple of quarter-finals.
Yeah,
Brentford in the quarter-finals.
Well. Yeah, so I mean,
but semi-finals.
Semi-finals
have been few and far between, and now it's becoming the norm for Newcastle. In the Carabao Cup, they should have got to the semi-final last year.
Yeah, they should have. Yeah,
like, make no mistake. So good habit to get into. So we'll wrap up there with some words from our esteemed sponsors. Of course, there's Four Rivers Financial Planning, our OG sponsors for all your holistic financial and pension needs. And of course, our new sponsors, you may have heard of them, Mitigate. Take it away, John.
Mitigate transforms workplace mental health, mitigating legal risks, reducing absenteeism and boosting productivity, delivering up to £9 ROI per £1 invested. Book your free demo today.
Brilliant. Brilliant from Newcastle. Hope you've enjoyed watching. We've been the Geordie Journals. Please like, comment, share, subscribe for all of your latest content here on YouTube. And we'll be back, Eddie Howe's press conference ahead of Ipswich on Friday, speaking at the Newcastle United Media Centre. We'll see you there.